What is going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today I wanted to showcase a Shadow Dusknoir team in the Ultra League. The reason I want to show this off is because I've seen on PvPoke it's actually ranked very highly within the top 25 of Pokemon in the Ultra League meta, but I don't ever see anyone running it. I wanted to test it out today and see if it's actually any good. I think as long as it avoids any dark or normal types, it's going to be a nightmare in neutral scenarios. If you want to see my battles live, I stream basically every day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN, so I'd love to see you there. Let's get into the battles and see what Shadow Dusknoir can do. Alright, getting right on into game number 1 here, Shadow Dusknoir in the lead, up against a Galarian Weezing. This is a very bad matchup for a backline. Honestly, it's a bit awkward for a lead as well, just because they have Brutal Swing that spams out so quickly, but I know Dusknoir is going to be able to kind of neutral its way through this just with Astonish and with the Shadow Punch damage, and once this is out of the way, Guzzlord and Primeape in the backline should be a little bit safer to use. I want to at least bait the fact that I could go for a Shadow Ball here. We end up shielding first. I have back-to-back Shadow Punches basically at this point. I want to make sure that we can knock this thing out, but if I go for a Shadow Ball and they end up shielding it, that would be catastrophic, so I just have to go for the bait. If I need to, I can go for another one here to knock them out before we get to another Brutal Swing, which it looks like that is exactly what I'll have to do. If they shield this, that's fine. I've neutralized this Weezing as much as I need. If they no-shield, then it's already gone. It's not even going to be a concern for a backline. In comes a normal type. I don't want to let them farm us down, because honestly, we have no play with only Ghost-type damage. I safe swap our Primeape, and in comes their own Primeape to answer us. We are up energy, but they are up shields. I end up getting a nice bait off with that Rage Fist, and now I'm going to reach the next one here, try to draw the shield, or at least put them into a range where Astonishes will knock them out later on. This next Rage Fist will end up getting shielded, and now we're in range where they have to go for close combat if they want to knock us out. I know this, they know this, I'm going to shield this up, force them to throw a second one to lower the defense stat even more at this point, and make it so our Dusknoir is going to have a very easy time taking out this Primeape. Another move is going to come through. That close combat likely is going to be loaded. Yep, looks like that is exactly what they're going to do. Our Dusknoir, though, has energy. I can go and get this Shadow Punch off before they can swap out. And now, as long as our Guzzlord can neutralize their Licky Licky, we should be able to win this game. Guzzlord is going to come in here. We have so much damage with Dragon Claw and Dragon Tail, and also Crunch, I guess, if we want to throw that instead. Crunch is a little bit more efficient. It can debuff their defense stat as well. So I think that is going to be the play here this game. I don't need the speed as much as I just need the raw damage. So Crunch is going to come through. This will not knock them out, but it will put them into range where the next charge move probably will once our fast move pressure adds up. No debuff there, but I don't think we're going to need it. That Earthquake did a decent chunk of damage, but it didn't do half of our health. It does put us into lower than half of our health after the rollout damage, but they don't have quite enough fast move pressure before we can reach this next Crunch, take out the Licky Licky, and win game number 1 using our Shadow Dusknoir to neutralize that very bad matchup in the lead, and our Primeape as a very safe swap. Our next game here, we have a Skuntank lead, not the best lead matchup, obviously. Dark-type Pokemon resist all of my moves here on our Shadow Dusknoir, so I have to swap out to a Primeape, and I'm going to let them throw first. I'm just kind of shielding this up, building up energy, and then back-to-back close combating if they stay in this matchup, or just using this energy later on, depending on what they're going to do here. They end up staying in for so long, they try to catch a move on this Drifblim. Unfortunately, I throw on slightly suboptimal timing here. They get a full Astonish for free, which is not great, but I am so up on energy here. I can get 2 Rage Fists off, maybe even 3, before the first Icy one is going to be thrown by this Drifblim, and I am doing so much damage already just with these Rage Fists. If they let this move through, I get switch advantage. If they shield it up, then at the very least, I'm not going down shields in this matchup. Yeah, they do end up shielding that, and now I reach the Rage Fist on CMP. It looks like a little bit of a miscount from our opponent here. Rage Fist will either knock out or draw their final shield. They just end up letting it go. They know at that point that they are going to be able to farm us down with this Shadow Feraligatr, a Pokemon that normally up energy is very strong, but I know that Skuntank was in the lead, right? I'm just going to bring in our Shadow Dusknoir here. Hydro Cannon is not going to knock us out. These Shadow Claws are super effective, but this is Ultra League. I can survive this move and likely reach a Shadow Punch against this Feraligatr. If I can draw the shield or even just land this damage against them, then our Guzzlord should be able to close out this backline, knowing that they don't have much charge move pressure against me. I think they already showed they were running Crunch this game, so it's probably going to be Crunch and then either Sludge Bomb or maybe Trailblazer Flamethrower, so it is very unlikely they have a really good move to throw against our Guzzlord. We're going to see them actually swap right back into it, so they do have a move that they're throwing. If this is a Sludge Bomb, that's probably the worst case scenario, but if it's just a Crunch, I know for a fact there's no way they're going to win this game. Crunch does come through, it gets the defense drop, but at this point I think it's a little bit too little too late. We have the Dragon Claw loaded. This is why we're running Dragon Claw, by the way. In Ultra League, it's so much better for the dark types that you see. I know that Brutal Swing is kind of the rage in Great League, and having the coverage with Sludge Bomb, also very good, but in Ultra League, I think that Dragon Claw and Crunch is the way to go. Alright, next match, Shadow Feraligatr in the lead. A very awkward lead matchup, but I can safe swap my Primeape, hopefully make something happen this game. We bait out a Fairy type with this Galarian Weezing. Not exactly the best situation to be in, but I know for a fact they have to throw either Overheat or Play Rough if they want to one-shot us with a move. So I can probably start ramping up with these Rage Fists, and since this is a Shadow Weezing, these Rage Fists are doing a lot of damage to them. It's going to start really putting them into range where they're going to have to start respecting our charge moves. They are throwing a move at this point. I'm going to no-shield. If they want to go for an Overheat or a Play Rough, they can be my guess, but they just go for a Brutal Swing. They have to throw another if they want to knock us plays out here, but unfortunately they are counting pretty well. They get that move off on perfect timing here, and now our Primeape will go down, but we are putting this in range where our Shadow Dusknoir can come in, go for the full Astonish down. They reach a move, but it should just be a brutal swing, but it is Shadow into Shadow. It'll probably do about 55-60% of our health. Dusknoir is not going to like to take that hit. With that said, though, we have that energy lead going back into the Shadow Feraligatr. This Shadow Punch, if it ends up landing, will put them at about half of their health at this point. Our Dragon Tails and our Dragon Claws from our Guzzlord are really going to start adding up into this Pokemon. They throw energy. It's probably just a Hydro Cannon at this point, but I want to make sure that we're healthy enough in the backline just in case we need our Guzzlord around. And their final Pokemon going to be a Gastrodon. This Pokemon is very bulky. If I can land this Crunch, though, we might be in a good position. They No Shield, probably expecting me to be running either Brutal Swing or Sludge Bomb or Dragon Claw, but not running Crunch. Fortunately, though, I was running the one move here that can really help out, do actual real charge move pressure against them. I shield the Earth Power properly. We have a lot of energy on our Guzzlord right now, but this could be an awkward game depending on how much energy they can get on their Shadow Feraligatr and how much these Mud Slaps are going to trip us down. I have my Dusknoir still around, but we can use it as a catch right now. I catch an Earth Power, and now if I can Dragon Tail down this Gastrodon, I should be able to win this game, but if they can swap out, this could be a little bit awkward here. They end up getting a Hydro Cannon off. I know for a fact I survived this, but this is going to be a little bit awkward. I'm going to be very low on health. If I can get off these two Dragon Claws, I should be able to win this game. Dragon Claw number 1 is queued up. Can I get to the second one before getting fast moved down? I have it loaded. Can we click the button? Does it let us? We get to the Dragon Claw. We can knock out the Gastrodon here and win the game. GG's to our opponent. Very close one. Guzzlord able to close out the backline here. Alright, next game, let's see what our Shadow Dusknoir is going to be able to find. It is actually Tentacruel lead, one of the better leads. We resist Poison-type damage, but Scalds do add up still, so if they actually end up staying in that matchup, it's not exactly the most one-sided matchup in the world, but they end up safe-swapping a low kicks of all things here. I don't have a great answer to this because it has Bug-type damage for our Guzzlord, and it is honestly just a very offensive Pokemon, so despite resisting everything they've thrown so far, our Primeape is getting stripped down quite a bit, and we have to lower our defense stats, so this is a little bit more awkward than I'd like it to be, but close combat does end up coming through and getting shielded by our opponent. They, for some reason, went for an X-Scissor rather than going for a Trailblaze, so I'm wondering if this is running Dark Pulse as their second charge move. Another X-Scissor does come through there, but I can get up to 2 close combats, make sure that I take that Sucker Punch so it doesn't get the damage after our next defense drop, so I can survive this, and then throw the second one just in case we need to. But fortunately, they do end up just letting it go. We are going to see the Tentacruel come back in, but I'm at 1 HP. They only get 1 Poison Jab through, and I get a full-on close combat to put them pretty low here at this point. This is closer to range where we can just land a Shadow Ball to knock them out. Final Pokemon going to be revealed. That Galarian Moltres in the backline would be an issue if I didn't have a hard answer for it like this Guzzlord. I know at this point that an Ancient Power bait would probably be likely. If they go for a Brave Bird, they're going to lose the game basically on the spot, even if I end up no-shielding it, and I guess they get the boost with that Ancient Power bait. That is going to be their win condition this game. We'll see if I can still win this matchup. Dragon Claw does come through, but look how much less damage that's going to do now after this debuff, or after this boost rather, from our opponent. Another Dragon Claw will be reached, but they are so bulky, they're going to survive this, and I don't know exactly how we can take this thing out without using a shield here. That said, I know we can still use our shield on our Guzzlord. We are not exactly in a bad spot against that Tentacruel, especially if they force them out of that Moltres matchup where they're going to have to clear their boost and make it so it's not going to be anywhere near as big of a problem. I'm just going to go for the Shadow Punch at this point. I know I just need the damage. I don't really care if I one-shot them with the Shadow Ball, and I know at this point, as long as I can reach a Shadow Punch, I'm going to win this game. But if I can also reach a Shadow Ball, if I can survive 3 more Poison Jabs, then I can just easily just win the game on the spot here. Yeah, Shadow Ball is going to be reached. This will knock out the Tentacruel, and it should secure us this game. They'll get 1 Sucker Punch on that Moltres, but they're basically energy dry. I have energy on our Guzzlord. We can bring that back in. They realize at that point Moltres is not going to be able to close up the game. All right, next matchup, Shadow Dusknoir against Pangoro. Okay, one of the worst seed matchups we could see. I'm going to say swap our Primeape. We kind of have to. We are ADA weak to this Pokemon. They end up coming in with a Malamar. Not exactly a Pokemon I want to see, but something that's not the hardest answer, I guess, to Primeape. I'm going to no-shield, hoping that they didn't go for Superpower. If this is a foul play, I survive, and I can reach 2 close combats against this. So at the very least, I can chip this down, and I can also make it so it's going to have to shield or give me switch advantage. I don't need switch. I just need to make sure that they shield here. So as long as they shield this, I'll at least have some sort of play this game. With that said, this is still going to be a very tricky spot to be in, because even though we'll get some energy on our Guzzlord or potentially on our Dusknoir, they are going to be able to absorb it very easily with that Pangoro that they have in the backline. They will get to a superpower here with their Malamar. It'll do about half of our health, but I know I survive it. I know that at this point, I need to save shields for potential close combats for potential Night Slashes as well. They end up having a Tentacruel as their final Pokemon, and even though I know this is not a great matchup, the thing is, I do so much damage with Astonish and with Shadow Ball that potentially this is still not the worst case scenario for us right now. Night Slash ends up not knocking us out, and I know I survived the fast move pressure from both this Tentacruel and from this Pangoro. I'm going to end up shielding this Night Slash and trying to throw the Shadow Ball here and trying to get the knockout. I don't think it will quite knock them out. It is a squishy Pokemon, but I know it's a resisted move. How much damage does it do? It does a lot, but unfortunately they survive on 1 HP and they reach another Night Slash. If that would have knocked out, I think we could have won this game, but unfortunately because of that 1 HP survive, now we have to expend another shield with our Dusknoir. They might be able to go for a Scald against us and potentially win them this game. Shadow Punch does draw the shield here. I have a lot of energy here. Unfortunately, I tried to swap out on a time when they wouldn't be throwing a move, actually. I didn't want to catch a Scald just in case we get debuffed. I had so much energy on Guzzlord. They ended up actually getting the attack drop as well. Very bad play by me. I should have just let my my Dusknoir go down here. But this is still potentially playable if I get the defense drop, and they don't get enough energy to have a Scald coming out of this matchup. But I don't think that's going to be the case right now because of that just 30% chance of debuffing our attack stat here. They are going to be able to win this game, and that is not what you want to see. I guess I shouldn't have caught the move. I should just let my this one here go down, and unfortunately that mistake, that catch there, going to lose us this game, despite what a terrible situation it was. Almost came back from it, but then kind of threw it right back to them. All right, next matchup here, a Unova and Stunfisk in the lead. That's a crazy Pokemon to see. Luckily, this is a very neutral matchup for me. I'm just going to stay in here, see what I can do. These Thundershocks are actually adding up quite a bit against us, but I know the charge moves are not going to be that scary. If it's a Mud Bomb or a Discharge, no matter what, it's going to two-shot eventually with these fast move pressure that they're getting off against us, but it's not going to do that much damage. They end up coming with a Charmer. Our backline wants nothing to do with this. This could be bad if they double shield. They do shield our first Shadow Punch. Are they going to shield again on this Alolan Ninetales? I am hoping right now that they don't. If they shield this, this is probably game over, but if they no shield, I can probably farm this down actually with a Primeape, which is exactly what we see happen. These Charms are doing so much damage to us, but I know at this point, Energy Lead Primeape is always very strong. I will take a lot of my health here just with fast move pressure, but I kind of need to do this. I do have a lot of energy. I have my Guzzlord that avoided a Charmer in the backline. Is there going to be any way I can win this game? We know that there is also that Unova and Stunfisk. Final Pokemon revealed a Zygarde here. Very bulky Pokemon. I can get to 2 close combats against this, though, which, if that is the case, I will chip this down into range where I can Astonish it all the way down, potentially win this matchup just using our Guzzlord in the backline to farm this down, and then to also absorb all of the damage from that Unova and Stunfisk. They have some energy here, so I know they can get to 2 moves, or to 1 move rather, before I can end up farming them down. I tried to catch the move, but they actually, I caught the top left there, it looks like, instead. Our next game, a Malamar lead, a Pokemon that you might expect to be a little bit tricky for this team, right? We have Pokemon that are weak to fighting type damage in the backline, weak to psychic type damage, and also weak to dark type damage. But the thing is, Shadow Dusknoir doesn't really care about psychic type damage, right? These Foul Plays would do a lot of damage, but if I have shields in play, I outpaced 2 Shadow Punches here. I know for a fact that this Malamar is not going to want to take them both, and if they no shield one, I can just easily win the 2 shield matchup, fast moving them all the way down. They do end up shielding that move, which is kind of an interesting play. I'm going to shield up this myself here at this point. I want to make sure that I can get this next move off. That Foul Play would basically knock us out. I'm going to build up as much energy as I can, and as long as this Shadow Punch ends up landing, I should be able to fast move down before they can reach that next Foul Play. They do let it go, and because I went down shields here, I was able to win this matchup and neutralize a Pokemon my Primeape probably wouldn't want to see. Speaking of Pokemon that I don't want to see, our Dusknoir does not want to see this Licky in the slightest. I safe swap to our Primeape, and our Primeape hopefully will be able to put in some work here in the backline. Rage Fist is going to be thrown against this Tentacruel, and saying that I baited out this Tentacruel, we are in a decent position, but this could be a little bit awkward depending on how their moveset is on that Licky in the backline. If they have Hyper Beam, potentially that could be a bit bad for us right now. If they just have Body Slam, though, and maybe Shadow Ball as coverage, that could be a lot better. I'm going to try to reach the close combat if possible. Looks like I won't barely be able to reach that. I get the debuff again on our attack stat, so we're only going to be at +1 throwing this Rage Fist, but it will chip them down into a range where this Tentacruel is much more manageable. I'm going to come in instantly with our Dusknoir, throw this Shadow Punch before they can swap out. I want to neutralize this, get this out of the way, so I'm not even going to have to be concerned about this energy or a catch later on. I'm going to come in instantly with our Guzzlord and see what move they throw. They threw this pretty early. I would have to assume this is a Body Slam. Yeah, they're not even running Earthquake or Hyper Beam, which is so much better for a Guzzlord. I can reach these crunches, but keep in mind, last time we were in this matchup, we were on even shields. This time they have 1 shield to 0 shields, and my Dusknoir in the backline is not going to do much damage to them whatsoever. And so what I'm going to try to have to do is I'm going to have to go for these crunches. I didn't get a debuff, and go for these fast move pressure, and try our best to chip this thing down into a range where maybe our Dusknoir can take it out. That's going to be such a tricky thing to do in the backline, but maybe there is a chance. Body Slam does come through. It doesn't quite knock us out yet or put us into range where the next one would, but we are getting so low. I catch a Body Slam, I save a crunch, and now I know since this is just a Body Slam, I can likely reach a Shadow Ball, guarantee a shield or a knockout with our Dusknoir. We might actually be able to win this game using our Ghost-type Pokemon against the normal type. They have to no-shield this. They have to hope that they can survive this move. What are they going to do? They do end up shielding the attack, but at this point, I have my move loaded on our Guzzlord. I win CMP against this Licky, and I know I can win this game as long as we don't lag here. We get our move off. Crunch does come through, and Licky is no more. Guzzlord able to close it out in the backline. Dusknoir actually proving to be a bit of a threat even against this normal-type Pokemon. That's a lie. It just had enough play, to make something happen there in the end game. But still a very, very good game by our opponent. Our next game, Shadow Dusknoir up against the Zygarde in the lead. This is an awkward matchup if they have Crunch, right? But a lot of these have been running Bulldoze and Outrage, so what I'm going to try to hope for right now is that they are not running Crunch. Maybe they'll Bulldoze me, maybe I'll survive it, and if that is the case, maybe I'll have some play this game. I'm going to no-shield, hoping for that Bulldoze, or maybe hoping for a Crunch survive. They go for a full-on Outrage here. That's kind of bad. Maybe I should have shielded that up. Now I'm going to have to take a lot of damage on our Guzzlord. They're not quite in range where a Dragon Claw could knock them out, which is so awkward, because that means that they're going to have so much damage against us with these Dragon Tails. They're going to have switch advantage and have our Guzzlord chip down quite a bit. With that said, I will get an energy lead, and honestly, Zygarde is a little bit of a tricky matchup for our Primeape, so a good thing to get this out of the way. Shield that Outrage. I don't want to get one-shot once again, and see what they're going to come in with here. Probably going to be something like a Feraligatr or a Tentacruel in the back line. Maybe, I don't even know what their third Pokemon could be at that point. I know that Tentacruel plus Zygarde, though, is a very strong core. There is Tentacruel does come in. They don't have a lot of charge move pressure here, but these poison jabs, plus the Dragon Tail damage that we already took, have put us into range where Scald even could come close to knocking us out. We get a little bit lucky with a defense drop here, which is going to help out quite a bit. It makes it so our next Dragon Claws and Dragon Tails are going to chip them down a lot more. I want to just throw this move as soon as possible. I don't want to let them swap and clear their debuff, so I go for this Dragon Claw. It should put them into range where we can farm them down. They actually end up shielding that move there, which is kind of interesting, and now we could go for a Rage Fist, but I'm not quite sure if that would be enough to knock out at this point. It could have been, but it would have been really close at -1 defense. Scald comes through, hopefully no debuff. We don't get debuffed, and in the backline, going to be a licky here, as long as I don't end up being in a situation where I CMP with them when I throw a move, which it looks like we were able to avoid. I can go for the back-to-back close combats here, guarantee the knockout, and that Tentacruel is energy dry. I can get to another move against them. There is no way we're going to lose this game. They can't farm us down here, even though I'm at -4 defense right now. I'll be able to reach a charge move, take out this Tentacruel, and win this game, despite a very awkward situation with that Zygarde in the lead. Probably able to knock out 2 Pokemon, getting a sweep in the backline here. GG's to our opponent. Zygarde is a crazy pick, but I'm glad I was able to overcome it. Alright, a Tentacruel in the lead once again. We resist these poison type fast move pressure that they have. They end up actually swapping out instantly to a Malamar this time. I know that I'm going to be able to outpace to this first Shadow Punch, so I might as well trip them down and then swap into our Guzzlord. Potentially I'll be in a good position this game. Shadow Punch does over half of their health there with the Astonish damage combined, and now we come in Guzzlord and try to farm them down. I know at this point they're going to go for a Superpower first. They could go for a Foul Play bait, but that'd be kind of crazy, so I'm going to shield it up, and it does look like they just went for Superpower, so the next one is going to do a lot less damage to us. If they can reach 2, that's going to be kind of bad, but if they only get this next one off, we're going to be in a very good position. Superpower does come through, and they don't get off a third. They're probably going to come back in with that Tentacruel, which is a little bit awkward because honestly our dragon type damage isn't going to do too much to them. Our crunches are going to add up over time, but this is going to be a bit of a long slog of a matchup here. Crunch does come through, no defense drop this time, but I can reach another one before they're going to get to a charge move, and if I can reach a Dragon Claw here and just knock out this Tentacruel, I'm going to be in a good spot. Even if not, we should be in a good position with how much damage we've done to this Tentacruel already. They do end up reaching a move here. I'm going to no-shield. If this is an Acid Spray or a Scald, there is a chance I can survive. They do throw the Scald. 1 HP survive with our Guzzlord. Dragon Claw coming through, getting the knockout. If they want to shield this, that's fine, but if they no-shield, it's going to be a 3-on-1, really more of a 2-on-1, because at this point, our Guzzlord is basically knocked out. Going to be a Moltres in the backline, and while this is an awkward Pokemon to see, knowing that they do have both Dark and Flying type damage, I know they don't have a lot of fast move pressure against our Primeape, and they're going to be forced to throw a Brave Bird if they ever want to knock out this Pokemon right now. Which just does end up getting called. I'm honestly totally fine with that, right? Because they end up taking so much damage from our fast move pressure, from our Rage Fists. This is not looking bad for us right now. I can reach another move, and as long as I shield up a Brave Bird here, even if I shield up an Ancient Power, the only way this turns south is if they get a boost. But they end up going for the full-on Brave Bird here. At this point, they've taken so much faster pressure. I know even our Dusknoir could finish off this game. We have the Rage Fist right now. It gets a shield, and now I can reach the next one in just a second. Look at how much damage we've done just with fast moves at this point. I can come in, Astonish down, or even just reach the Shadow Punch if the Astonishes aren't enough. But look at that. Astonish at this point, able to just fast move them all the way down and take the win for us that game. Our next matchup, Shadow Dusknoir up against a Skuntank. Very bad lead matchup, but I can swap out to our Primeape once again, try to make something happen here this game, and see how they want to play this out. Since they're staying in here, I'm not going to throw energy first. I want to be able to potentially build up to back-to-back close combats before lowering my defense stat, and I'm going to shield this up and see what moveset they have. Actually, Flamethrower this time, and in comes that Drifloon once again. I've seen a similar situation to this earlier in the day. I know that Primeape is in a much better position now that I didn't throw on bad timing this time, and I have such a big energy lead. We're going to throw these Rage Fists as soon as we can here, as soon as we can, on good timing, that is. And I know that Icy Wind would be able to lower our attack stat, but we are just outpacing so quickly to these Rage Fists at this point, it doesn't even matter. Do they want to shield this up? If they do, it's kind of a losing matchup the longer it goes on. They actually do end up letting it go. That's kind of crazy. That's going to mean that now this Shadow Feraligatr is going to have a lot of work to do if they want to be able to take out this Primeape. They can shield this move if they want, but they are going to take so much fast food pressure, and now that I know the whole team, I should be in a really good position. They make a nice catch on their Skuntank, but the thing is, we've already seen Flamethrower. They likely have either Trailblaze or Crunch as their next attack, and a +4 Rage Fist still does a massive amount of damage to that Skuntank there. They end up top lefting. GG's to them. Alright, next game, Shadow Dusknoir up against a Greninja lead. That's not what you want to see. Another Dark type resists all of our damage with our Dusknoir. So I'm going to come in with our Primeape and try our best to just spam out these Rage Fists, potentially knock them out here as long as we can start spamming out these moves. I want to flip switch as much as I can because I know our Guzzler is going to be able to absorb all of the damage from that Greninja, and I'm hoping the final Pokemon in this game is not going to be a wall to our Dusknoir. If I can flip switch, that's what I'm going to go for right now. 2 of these Rage Fists have been landed. This is a very awkward match. I'm not sure if the 3rd Rage Fist will be enough to knock out or even draw a shield from this Pokemon. I'm going to hope right now that it will be enough. Overfarm just a little bit to have energy for the backline. This Rage Fist, if it ends up coming through here and getting no shielded, might knock out, but they might survive on 1 HP just like that. I should have gone for the CMP, get that 1 extra fast move before they had to throw their move here. Now I have to go down 2 shields. We are double boosted. In comes their final Pokemon, a Galarian Weezing. Another Pokemon that honestly I really don't want to see this game. I think at this point, if this Weezing does have play rough, they probably just end up sweeping us here. In comes this Rage Fist number 2. I guess number, like, what, 5 at this point? I don't know. We're so boosted at this point. Rage Fist does end up getting double shielded here. Yeah, that was our 5th Rage Fist. We didn't even get a boost off of that. I have to come in Dusknoir, but they are so boosted, or so energy loaded, rather, on this Weezing. They reach 1 move. That doesn't knock us out, but I think they're going to know to reach for a higher energy move, either a Play Rough or an Overheat to knock us out. And even if they do have Overheat, I think at this point the game is just over. Our Guzzlord is going to come in. We don't have Sludge Bomb, right? Even if we did, it wouldn't knock them out, and they can clear their debuff with this Greninja. And at this point, it's kind of just a losing matchup, right? These Hydro Cannons even are going to start adding up over time. Dragon Claw does end up doing a lot of damage, but that Weezing's still way too healthy in the backline. Not much I can do against that. All right, next game, a Pangoro in the lead. We saw this earlier today. Very bad matchup. I'm going to have to swap out to our Primeape here, try to do what we can, and this Pangoro is going to swap out to a Tentacruel, and we'll see what we can do right now. These Rage Fists, once again, are going to add up against this Tentacruel, but this is a very awkward matchup. Shadow Tentacruel, though, this time, so that should guarantee that 3 Rage Fists do knock out as long as they don't get a Scald debuff, but they also might be running Acid Spray as the Shadow Tentacruel here. Rage Fist number 2 lands. The next one definitely will knock out if I end up being able to land it. I'm going to shield and hope that they don't bait us with an Acid Spray. Very risky shield, but I do end up calling the right move here. Rage Fist is going to be reached. I want to build up energy just in case they end up letting it go. We have back-to-back moves right now, so if they do shield, I can get both of their shields this game. They end up letting their Tentacruel... Actually, no, they do end up shielding that. So I will take both shields, but they will be able to farm us down. This is a little bit awkward. I'm going to have to try our best with our Guzzlord to absorb this damage. I'm hoping that they're running either Acid Spray or potentially... Well, I'm just hoping for Acid Spray, I guess, right now. I don't want to take a Blizzard, but I know I can't go down shield. That Pangoro would just sweep us. Blizzard comes through. Okay, well, we get basically one shot here. In comes their Pangoro. This game is basically over at this point, right? What am I going to do? I'm going to try to go for the Shadow Ball once again. The only way I can win this game is if the final Pokemon is something that I can one-shot with the Shadow Ball that doesn't fast move us down before we can reach it. We are able to shield up the Night Slash. These fast moves are doing nothing to us right now. I have to throw the Shadow Ball before they reach another move, and I'm hoping at this point, whatever is in the back line, I can one-shot it somehow. I don't quite knock them out with this move, but I do get the next Astonish before the next Night Slash, which is nice. A bit more energy. Okay, is that winnable? A Cresselia in the backline? That could potentially work for us right now. I end up calling the catch here with their Tentacruel coming back in, and I'm going to try to reach for this Crunch. I don't quite get it, but the thing is, I have a Shadow Ball loaded. I'm going to be able to go for one more Astonish, throw the Shadow Ball, and hope that it's enough to knock out Cresselia. Cresselia is one of the bulkiest Pokemon in the game. Will this Shadow Ball be enough to take them out here? Come on, Dusknoir, can you do it? It does it. It gets the endgame sweep. Somehow, we win that game. GG's to our opponent. All right, next match, Shadow Dragonite up against our Dusknoir. Very good lead. Oh, I guess it's not that good, but it's also not bad, right? Our Astonishes are going to add up a little bit more than their damage is doing, and we outpace the charge moves. We end up calling that they're going to try to make a funny play there. I don't throw instantly with their Shadow Punch. They end up trying to catch it on their Steelix, and I'm going to come in with our Fighter right now. I know they're going to go for Psychic Fangs here, which is going to add up over time, but the thing is, at this point, I'm not really that worried about this. I don't care about Switch Advantage, because Shadow Dragonite is such a squishy Pokemon. If I get shields down, our Dragon Claw from our Guzzlord could also one-shot them. They end up no-shielding that. It doesn't quite one-shot, but I can reach this Rage Fist here, try to knock them out. Or actually, I kind of made a mistake here, right? I didn't want to knock him out just because I figured at this point, if I was able to get a farm down with our Guzzlord, maybe I could have got some energy against them. No, it's fine, right? It's fine. I don't need the energy lead this game. I'm just going to go for the switch advantage, which is also going to be a good play. I end up going for Astonish and Shadow Punch damage against this Alolan Sandslash, so I guess no, maybe I did make the right play. Switch advantage does look like it's going to be very helpful right now. Shadow Punch number 2 going to come through. The first one did almost half of their health. The second one does end up getting shielded, and the thing is, they are not actually running Shadow Claw. If they're running Shadow Claw, our Guzzlord would have a much better matchup here, but since they're running Powder Snow, our Dusknoir actually has a better matchup. I can end up shielding this up, not being worried about getting farmed down here. I can get to another Shadow Punch, either draw the shield, or potentially get the knockout against this Ice-type Pokemon. They end up shielding, and now I'm going to try to get to another Shadow Punch here. They try to come in with their Shadow Dragonite to farm us down, but we reach another Shadow Punch, and at this point, Guzzlord is so bulky, I know that we can survive one charge move. We can just come in with this, farm them all the way down here this game, and take the match. In fact, I'm going to prove it. I'm going to no-shield it. Our Guzzlord is bulky enough. Unless this is a Blizzard, we're not going to get one shot, and they did not have the energy for that. So GG's for our opponent. Very fun match there. All right, next game, Shadow Dusknoir up against a Tentacruel lead. Once again, a lot of Tentacruels in Ultra League, which is why Dusknoir is such a powerful pick. In comes the safe swap of the Feraligatr. I don't have a good response to an energy lead Feraligatr, but what I want to do is chip this down with our Shadow Punch here, either draw a shield or potentially get a lot of damage against them, and now come in Primeape. I know I can survive a move from this thing, and I know at this point I can either get both shields down, or I can get switch and shield advantage if I just instantly throw the close combat. They actually went for a bit of a misplay here. They CMP'd us on this close combat, which means that now they kind of are forced to no shield, or else just have no energy for the backline. They do let that go, so I have switch and shield advantage this game. I don't quite reach that rage fist, but our Dusknoir is in a very good position to come back in, start going for these Astonishes, and start chipping them down. If they do reach a Scald at this point, those fast moves that they got on that Shadow Feraligatr against our Dusknoir have put us close to range where Scald would knock us out. So I will respect it. I will shield this up, and I'm just hoping right now, oh, the Acid Spray Beta Set is crazy. I'm just hoping that our Guzzlord is going to have play in the backline. But they do let us reach this Shadow Ball here. It's going to do a lot of damage. Not going to be quite enough to knock them out from this range. Tentacruel is very bulky, but it will put them down very low. Since they're staying in here, I'm kind of thinking there's a good chance their backline must be pretty weak to Dusknoir. I want to shield this up, keep our energy. Well, they baited us into shielding that, actually. That is not a Pokemon that is even close to being weak to our Dusknoir. That is a Mandibuzz, one of the best answers to it. Luckily, though, we do have a very hard answer to Mandibuzz right here with our other Dark type. Having Dragon Claw makes this matchup so good for us right now. These Aerial Aces are going to do almost nothing. Snarl is doing very little damage, being a resisted fast attack against us. So I just know that I outpace with our damage, both with our fast and our charge moves. Every time they throw another Aerial Ace, I get an extra Dragon Tail in for free, and even our Dusknoir at this point potentially could still be useful this game, either as a catch or even I have some energy on it. We're chipping this into range where a Shadow Ball or maybe even a Shadow Punch could knock them out here. I do have to be worried about a catch though this game. I know that the catch is a possible win condition for them. It would be a very slim win condition, but if 2 Aerial Aces after this one can knock us out, then if they do catch a move and keep this Pokemon alive, this could be a little bit awkward. At this point, I'm going to watch for the catch. In fact, I'm going to call the catch right when it happens, and I'm going to swap to my own Shadow Dusknoir. I'm going to call that in 2 more. They are going to end up trying to catch our Dragon Claw, so if we can catch their catch in 2 moves, which is exactly what happens, we can go for the Astonish down against this Tentacruel and win the game there. GG's to our opponents today. Honestly, Shadow Dusknoir, I can see why it's rated so highly on PvPoke, and I think I know why people don't use it too much. It is actually an incredibly expensive investment. It was basically a level 50 Shadow. That is several 100,000 Stardust that you have to invest just to use this Pokemon. It's a very fun pick, though. Mono Ghost coverage does make it a little bit bad against the normals and against the dark types, but it is still a very fun and very strong neutral Pokemon in this meta. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching today's video. I share my battles live basically every day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN, so if you want to see this kind of content live, please make sure to check me out there. Also, I'm going to upload a lot more to the channel, so if you want to see more videos like this, please make sure to subscribe. Thank you again for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.